All right, it seems like I'm recording now, and just wanted to put together some thoughts about uh, some things that hit me over Thanksgiving, and to try my new camera out. I'm trying to get into the video age and get more into YouTube and interact with people more, and so this is a continued effort to do that. But when I was at Thanksgiving, I heard something interesting, and would like to pose it to anybody who's watching this. Um, I was with a guest who said that her sister does not celebrate Thanksgiving because of its connection with paganism. And it was the first time I'd heard that, and so I'd be curious if anybody out there has any perspectives on that. I'd love to hear them. I'm familiar with a lot of the pagan connections with Christmas and Easter and things like that, um, and it just was the first time that I heard somebody talk about the pagan aspects of Thanksgiving, and so it's a curious thing to me, and I think we need to uh, really think those things through, but we need to be careful, of course, how we judge other people who may celebrate or not celebrate those things. And again, I think there's some biblical things about uh, where the Bible talks about if if a weaker Christian says that they don't eat something and you as a stronger Christian say that you do, that you don't want to lead that weaker brother into temptation and things like that. And so there may be more mature Christians who celebrate Easter or celebrate Christmas, and they have thought it through. Hey, great. There may be other Christians who say, "Wow, it's pagan, and I don't want anything to do with it." And so I think we do have to be careful. Having said that, I think there are some things that in my walk, and I've only been a Christian for about 4 years now, but in my walk, there are some things that are some real red flags for me, and I'll share one of those as an example. And maybe in future videos, I'll talk about some other things because I have done a lot of thinking and have started doing a lot of presenting on Christianity versus humanism. And so when I was at Virginia Tech before I got saved, I was a humanist. And I was into secular humanism. Though I wasn't an atheist, I was really probably more of a New Age theist than anything else. And so I've done a lot of thinking about how I've transitioned as a Christian. And I'll put something together for you at some point. But one of the other things that I became concerned about when I became a Christian was before giving my life to Christ, I was a real Harry Potter fan, and I just loved Harry Potter. And when I became a Christian and I read the Bible for the first time, and I've read it probably a couple times since, but who's counting? You know, you always read the Bible. Um, I realized that God really condemns witchcraft. And folks, Harry Potter is about witchcraft. I hope there's really no debate about it. It's pretty obvious. And so one must then ask the question, well, what do we do with it? You know, and I know that people will say that it's fantasy. There are people who say that Harry Potter uh, is has a biblical theme to it. That Harry represents a Christ-like figure, and that there are people who use Harry Potter in teaching and things like that. Um, well, I've got to raise a red flag about that because witchcraft is one of the faster growing, if not the fastest growing religion in the world today. And I would need to dig up a source on that, so forgive me for not having that readily available. But I do believe that it is quickly growing. And things like Harry Potter, you can go all the way back to Lord of the Rings. You can go back to Chronicles of Narnia also, which I think J.R.R. Tolkien um, and um, other authors in that genre also you've got to be careful with. And so for my take, Harry Potter is really something that has some inherent danger in it. For those who think that it promotes Christian values, I would urge you to do some thinking about whether it uh, promotes Christ, glorifies Christ, or whether it glorifies or promotes the individual. And I would argue that Harry Potter is about human beings taking the own power that they discover within them and using that power to manipulate, change the world around them. That's witchcraft. And so I think we need to be real careful about that. And so anyway, just a rambling. There are some other things that, as I've walked with Christ, that I have kind of put together a series of questions that I ask when I run into doctrine. One of those questions is, does it glorify God, um, or does it take away glory from God? When I hear a piece of doctrine, I'll ask, how does it treat Christ? Does it glorify Christ, or does it somehow reduce Christ? And again, what I said about Harry Potter, it really reduces Christ in his role in our lives, because we shouldn't be turning to ourselves. We should always be turning to Christ for support and for answers to tough questions. Another question that I ask is, does it glorify another human being? If it glorifies another human being, then for me it just raises a red flag. And then finally, does it glorify me? Does it make me feel good about myself? And folks, humanism is all about um, actualizing the human potential, helping the human being to assert themselves and to overcome and to manifest a greater human presence in the world. And that's the sin of humanism. And it does that in many cases. And Oprah Winfrey is a great example of somebody promoting the Christ consciousness within, discovering that Christ consciousness, discovering that we are God. And that is rank heresy. And something that I'm glad I didn't go too far down that path, and I'm glad that God reached in and pulled me out of that mess, because it is heresy. And so just some things that I've come across in my short walk with Christ, and I praise Him for having saved me from that, and for the work He continues to do. There are things I don't understand. I've watched several videos on Calvinism versus Arminianism. Um, don't understand that debate. I don't understand the issues of denominations, why denominations exist, um, and and it's just in my walk, God hasn't revealed that stuff to me, although He has revealed much to me, and I praise Him for that, and I thank Him for that. Um, and I continue my walk. And folks, I am always looking for resources, perspectives, but as I get those resources and as I get those perspectives, I'm always praying that God will guide me in my interpretation of those things, and basing my interpretation on His Word, and on the Bible certainly, but also through prayer, that He would open my mind to perspectives that would help me to make the decisions that I need to make. So just some rambles for you. Appreciate you taking the time, and if anything has tickled your fancy, let me know. Otherwise, live a blessed life, please. Love you. Bye-bye.